Good Saturday morning to you guys. So this is the Saturday after Mother's Day, and so all week I've been thinking about Mother's Day. I didn't really talk about it last week. This is the first Mother's Day without my mom. And last weekend when I went to get Mother's Day cards for my girls, I just thought about, oh, I don't have to buy my mom a Mother's Day card. And that was always a very difficult task for me. And some of you know my past and some of you do not. So it was just really always difficult for me to buy my parents Mother's Day cards and Father's Day cards. But I started thinking about, have I taught my kids everything that they need to know? And so I thought about this funny story, and this is at the expense of Bub. This was when he was younger, probably, I would say, 13, 14 years old. It was soon after his dad had left. I was still trying to get a degree, and so every once in a while I was going to Jonesboro. This night I needed to go to the library and stuff, and I said, Bub, I want you to go with me, because I didn't want to leave him at home. And I said, we'll get something to eat while we're there. I always could bribe him with something to eat, still can today. And anyway, so he went with me, and I wasn't there very long. But then afterwards, I said, well, let's just get it to go so we can make our way back home. And so we stopped at Kentucky Fried Chicken and got some chicken. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever done this, but have you ever ate somewhere and not very long thereafter you start having the gastrointestinal disturbance? Well, if you know anything about the trip between Batesville and Jonesboro, there's just a few stops in between there where you can go to the bathroom. And it's actually better now than it used to be, and this was before the new highway was actually done. And so we were on our way back home. His stomach started rumbling. He said, Mom, he says, I think I'm going to have to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, can you hold on just a minute? I said, we're almost to, we'll get to Tuckerman here in just a little bit. And then we turned on the highway there to get to Tuckerman. And when we did, he says, you're going to have to stop right now. And so I looked behind me in the mirror. There's nobody behind us. I pulled off on the side of the road. He gets out of the car. Now, I don't know if any of y'all have ever been in this situation where, have you ever had a song playing and then whenever that song plays again ever in the future, you think about the situation you're in or something like that? Well, at that time, of course, he was young. He was listening to some rock music, and I was letting him listen to it. And he was listening to the Black Eyed Peas. And they had this song named G6, I think is what the name of it was. Well, that song was playing, and I pull over on the side of the road. I step on the brakes, pull over on the side of the road. He jumps out of the car. And so I'm trying to keep looking forward because I know Bub is on the side of the road taking a poop. And I don't know what, but I looked over, and he's got both of his hands on the side of the van, and he's standing up. And I'm like, what is he doing? And he's sort of standing up with his hands on the side of the van, and then he pulls his pants. I said, there's a car coming, there's a car coming. And he pulls his pants up and jumps back in the car. And then when he gets in the car, he's not sitting down. He's sort of keeping his butt up off the car, off the seat. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I've got poop all over the back of my pants. And I'm like, why didn't you squat down? And I had never thought about this, but I had never taught this kid how to squat out in the wilderness, right? I taught my girls, but here's my son. So anyway, he's got poop all over the back of his pants, and he said, just get to the next town, and I'll go in the bathroom and clean my pants off. And so every time the G6 by the Black Eyed Peas would come on, I would think about Bub standing on the side of the van with both of his hands on that van and him pooping. We get to the bathroom at Tuckerman, and he goes in and he comes back out, and I said, so is everything better now? And he said, no, it's still nasty. He said, let's get on. Now, you're probably thinking, how is she going to relate this to pointing to him? Well, as a mom, teaching our children all the things that they need to know can be very difficult. Have you ever been in a situation where I don't know what to do? I need a manual for this. And my daughter's been in this situation before. Heather, you've been in this situation with your kids, and I know you have. You called me asking me, right? But as we know, there is a manual, and it's called the Word of God. Now, this devotion came from Miss Berry. I don't know if any of you will remember Miss Berry, but she used to be at our church at Cornerstone in Mount Pleasant, and she gave this devotion on Proverbs 31. And I'm just going to read through these very quickly. You can go back and look at these and then replay this if you need to. But in Proverbs 31, verse 11, it talks about a godly woman is trustworthy. Verse 12, be an encourager. Put your family's needs first. Verse 13 through 17 reads and talks about being industrious. Verse 15 talks about being disciplined and having priorities, that God's first, your husband is second, and your children are third. Verse 24 through 27, it says, don't be lazy, set the environment. Verse 18, yes, it says, be content and be thrifty. Verse 19 and 20, don't be selfish, be sensitive to other people's needs. Verse 21 talks about she has foresight and plans ahead. Verse 21 says she's proud of her family. Verse 23 says she's an inspiration. Verse 25, she has personal dignity. Verse 26 says she's kind. And verse 28 says she's appreciated. Okay, so here's the deal. When teaching our kids, we have to think about the things, of course, that are priorities. And hopefully you'll go back and you'll study those things and see those priorities in the chapter of the virtuous woman. And that standing up and pooping, it's not that big of a deal when I look at all the other things that I need to be teaching my kids. And so I always tell Heather, you have to think about the things that are worth fighting, battles that are worth fighting. And when your kids are little, sometimes it's so hard. You know what I'm saying? Them jumping on the furniture. Is that a battle you want to fight? Well, but what you're doing is you're making them appreciate their property, those types of things. So you have to look at it in the grand scheme of things. Also, according to the virtuous woman. So this week, I hope that we as women can learn how to be virtuous, and that we can teach our children those attributes in that chapter of Proverbs 31. You guys have a great week, and make sure that you're pointing to Him. Have a good one.